give a lecture on stress because the presenter is going to do that. But I think it is something we need to to listen carefully and take note because stress leads to death, just like BP. And it comes in different forms. Things shouldn't worry you too much because unless you don't understand the purpose of your sojourn on this planet and the office, certainly. We were there, we thought it would never end. It came to an end. And what we left behind is still being done by others. So don't take office as the battlefield. It's a place you earn your daily living. That's all. There's nothing to it. Make friends because a lot of goodwill that I enjoy now are the friends that I made while I was working. So don't take office as a place where you exchange blows. I think we are late in starting, so any more comments will be made later. But let us start. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, sir. So, as usual, we also do a safety moment before the presentation. So before I introduce our guest presenter of today, I want to call on Engineer Wilson Dadet. Give us a brief safety moment.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, the safety moment for the workshop today is titled Masking Against COVID-19. Masking against COVID-19. So basically, we're going to just look at the do's and the don'ts of wearing a safety mask. So I will start with the do's. So when putting in your safety mask, one, clean your hands before touching the mask. Inspect the mask for damage or if dirty. Adjust the mask to your face without leaving the gaps on the sides, because if you leave gaps, it will allow transmission to take place. Cover your mouth, nose, and chin. Avoid touching the mask. Clean your hands before removing the mask, because if your hands are dirty, they can be a source of contamination. Remove the mask by straps behind the ears or head. Pull the mask away from your face. Store the mask in a clean plastic, resealable bag, or if it is not dirty or wet, or if you plan to reuse it. Again, remove the mask by the straps when taking it out of the bag. Clean your hands after removing the mask. Then there are a few things also that you don't need to do when we are talking of a face mask wearing. One, do not use a mask that looks damaged, because if it is damaged, it can be a source of transmission. Do not use a loose mask. Do not wear the mask under the nose, because if you wear it under the nose, then the nose becomes exposed and you are liable to be vulnerable to to get affected. Do not use a mask that is difficult to breathe through. Do not wear a dirty or wet mask. Do not share your mask with others. That means the mask is not transferable. So your mask is your mask. So when you transfer it, you are also making COVID-19 transferable. Thank you. Engineer Mahmoud, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Engineer Dadet. Our guest presenter today, you already see coming up is Engineer Mrs. Ronnie, Engineer Mrs. Rosemary, Imhanwa. This is the first time we're having a female guest presenter, and we had she's coming here today with over 17 years experience in leadership skills. Acquired from leading several teams in organizations and volunteering.
Mahmoud, I suggest, since there is an internet problem, I suggest you just allow the speaker to...
Management Institute. Chapter. As I mentioned earlier,
I think Mahmoud is having a low data.
Mahmoud, I suggest that you should allow the speaker because we're having problem hearing what you're saying. So please allow the speaker to make a presentation.
Mahmoud has left.
Mahmoud is having a low bandwidth.
Okay.
hello, sir.
Can the speaker make a presentation, please?
I'm here.
It's like
Yeah, we were having problem. We were having problem hearing you.
As you, okay. Engineer Imhanwa, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that's the best solution. The chairman said, go ahead with the presentation. Even after I have network issues again, the meeting is being recorded and it will not affect anything, even if I'm not here. That's the setting. So just continue.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
We also have backup in the house. Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I will be sharing my screen shortly. So I would request you confirm once you can see my screen. Thank you.
Yeah, we are seeing it, but turn it the way you did the other day.
Okay, so I believe everyone can see the screen now.
Yes.
Okay. So once again, good evening, everyone. I am Engineer Mrs. Rosemary Imhanwa.
Yes, great, great.
Yeah. So I'm Engineer Mrs. Rosemary Imhanwa. I am the managing partner at Kedahan Services Ltd. I am a leadership coach and a management consultant. I am also the current chairman of the Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers, Edo Delta chapter. I basically help project teams become more efficient and smash their project goals through my state-of-art courses from my training school. And it's my utmost pleasure to be with you all here today to walk you through managing workplace stress. So this is a sneak peek on the content of my presentation. So we'll be looking at what workplace stress is. We're going to also see if it is good or bad. We're going to see the causes of workplace stress, the impact of stress on health and safety, and then most importantly, how employers can address stress in the workplace. And of course, once we've seen all that, we should also know how to deal with workplace stress as an individual. And then, of course, we'll conclude the presentation for today. So there are several definitions for workplace stress, but we'll look at what stress is. So stress is basically a reaction to a situation. So the tendency is we typically feel stressed when we think about the demands of a situation. So when we are looking at, when we are dwelling on the fact that demand is greater than the resources that we currently have to deal with a particular situation, we tend to slip into what we call stress. So a typical example, someone who feels very comfortable speaking in public probably will not worry about giving a presentation or making a public speech. But somebody else who isn't confident in public speaking can feel a lot of stress just due to the mere fact that he's being called upon to make a presentation. So certain things about life like long-term worries, how you're going to move them up, maybe illnesses or even parenting, dealing with even everyday traffic can be a source of stress. So workplace stress is the harmful physical and emotional responses that can happen when there's a conflict between the job demand on the employee and of course the amount of control that the employee has over meeting these demands. So in general, the combination of high demands in a job and a low amount of control over the situation can lead to stress. So stress in the workplace typically can come from different things or different origins, or it could even be tied to a particular single event. Okay, so sometimes we tend to dwell on the negatives and then we often look beyond how stress can be good for us as well. So, like we said, the stress is about the reactions that we have to face in terms of situations. So these reactions, they are different from person to person. So some stress is expected in our daily life as we go through the journey of life. And of course, stress can be positive. It can be a positive force in our lives. In fact, it is often what provides us with the energy and motivation to meet our daily challenges, both at home and in the workplace. So, the type of stress response is what helps you to rise to a particular challenge and meet your goals, such as your deadlines, your sales or production targets, or finding new clients. So most times you find out that when people have succeeded in probably meeting certain goals or deadlines, they've worked around the clock, they don't really see the process they went through as stress anymore, because as far as they are concerned, they have met their goal and they are satisfied and happy. But trust me, the body went through some form of stress. Even though you don't call it stress anymore, you said it was just a challenge, we jumped across it and we were successful. Okay, so feelings of negative stress usually increase when people believe the demands of the situation are greater than their ability to deal with it. So stress may prevent them from being productive. So in some cases, people tend to avoid dealing with a certain problem entirely. Now that can make that situation worse, and increase the stress to them and others around them. So when they're under a lot of stress, you find out that people tend to struggle with concentrating. They tend to now make irrational decisions, and they feel less confident about what they can actually achieve. But again, like we've said, stress, the way people react to stress, it differs from person to person. So you can even see some people, even under an AC room where others are feeling a bit cold, they will be sweating, or their heart rate is pumping like mad, or they have tense muscles. I've had situations where we were in a board meeting, and one of the participants of that board meeting was expected to make a presentation that was apparently incomplete. And due to the fact that they were not able to gather the data that they needed to make their presentation robust, the person was, his hands started shaking when he was, and his hands were shaking, his voice was also shaking. Not that he didn't know what to say, not that he didn't know anything about the presentation, but just the mere fact that he knew that after his presentation there was going to be a lot of backlash, because it was practically empty. It lacked so much information. Someone passed a bottle of water to him, and it fell out of his hand, you know. So it was just his own way of reacting to the stress of the fact that he couldn't meet up with expectations from the rest of us on the board meeting. So let's look at typical causes of workplace stress. So there is no particular one cause, they are different. There are several of them. So every worker is an individual with their professional and personal lives, and they bring different factors that can influence their reactions to conditions in the workplace. So however, there are certain factors within the workplace that have been shown to influence the feelings of stress in the workplace, and we are going to see them in the subsequent slides. So I'm just quickly going to run through them. So one of them is the task design. So for instance, examples could be maybe the workload is a lot. In this COVID-19, we've seen a lot of cases where certain departments are being collapsed. Some percentage of employees are being let go, and ordinarily a task that 20 to 30, let's say 10 to 15 people will do, now you have just 6 people doing it, and so the tendency is they'll have overload. So it could be the pace with which they are expected to work, the time, deadlines, the autonomy about the work, the skills that they probably lack. They lack the skills that they need to actually do the work, so they tend to struggle with delivering on the expectations tied to their task. Maybe they don't get, the organization is crying that COVID-19 has come to stay, and we have to cut down on our costs, so no more training as it were. So they lack the training that they need to actually do their job and all that. Then you also have the role in the organization. That could be another category of what we call the job stressor. So for instance, you have organizations where there's no clearly defined hierarchy or boundaries. So the tendency is that employees in that kind of organization will tend to run into a lot of conflict within their roles, because if you're in an organization and the boundaries with which you are expected to work is not clearly defined, you won't even know when you will start interfering with somebody else's job. Okay, so other categories are career development, a situation where you are in an organization and you find yourself in one job or in one level for 10 years, 15 years. Some other of your colleagues that you joined the organization the same time with you have gone like 3-4 steps ahead of you, and you are just where you are. That could be an example that can cause stress for you. Then if you have maybe job insecurity, you are afraid that because the department you are in you are like redundant. You're not really adding value. So the tendency is, you know, that if the organization is going to let people off, you will probably be on that list because you are not adding the kind of value that you're supposed to be giving to the organization, you know. And then you could have maybe lack of career development opportunities, or even the overall job satisfaction. You go to work every day, you get paid at the end of the month, but you are generally not happy. Okay, so another category is the relationship at work. That has to do with you, the way you relate with people, the interpersonal relationships you have with your co-workers, which could come from your supervisors or your fellow co-workers, or if you are experiencing some form of violence or harassment. Ladies, we tend to go through this a lot. Maybe there's amongst you guys, there's a lot of backbiting, so there's lack of trust and all that. People have prejudice against you because of the way you dress or because of the way you look and all that. Then, of course, the organizational structure or the management style. Probably an example of that could be the way the organization is structured to take certain decisions. You know, ordinarily, even though the organization would say would like to encourage a lot of initiatives, ideas, and all that, but when you stress yourself coming up with these fantastic initiatives and ideas, at the end of the day, to even get for management to even take a decision to start even driving those initiatives is so much bureaucracy. From one table to another is discouraging, and it begins to cause stress for you. So it could also be communication patterns, the way you people are expected to communicate with each other. It could be maybe lack of recognition with all the good work that you do. At the end of the day, somebody else is the one that is being recognized for it. And you know deep down that you are the one who puts in all the work. But at the end of the day, somebody is getting recognized. That can cause stress. Then lack of support from both even your co-workers and your organization generally. Then, of course, another category could be the work-life balance. That is within you yourself, the way you are able to manage the conflicts that come up with your day-to-day work. How are you able to strike that balance? Are you shifting the stress that you are facing at the office, transferring it to even your family back at home, you know, that kind of thing? And then, of course, the last category is the workplace conditions or concerns, like based on where your day-to-day task is supposed to be. Is around maybe a facility where you have hazardous materials that are being emitted to the air, you know, and the management doesn't pay a lot of attention to protecting you guys that are there. And you find out somebody can be there in that same location for 1 month, 2 months. You can imagine all the exposure that the person has to take into his body. You know, all those things are examples of the workplace conditions. So let's now look at the impact on stress, the impact of stress on health and safety. So stress can have an impact on your overall health because our bodies are designed or programmed with a set of automatic responses to deal with stress. Now, just like what I've said, the problem is that our bodies deal with all types of stress in a particular way. So common effects of stress on the body can include headache, muscle tension or pain, chest pains, increased heart rate or blood pressure, weakened immune system, fatigue or insomnia, stomach or digestive issues, high blood sugar, and then increased cholesterol and fatty acids in the blood. So these are typical ways in which your body can show the signs of stress. Now, the truth about it is our bodies are not designed to switch off, to say, okay, because there's stress now, let me just switch and imagine that I'm not experiencing anything. Unfortunately, the body doesn't react like that. So stress can affect your mood, or thinking by increasing forgetfulness or anxiety or restlessness, or you're being irritated most of the time. You now tend to have certain mood swings. You know, you tend to start becoming hypertensive, or you're always angry, or you find yourself decrease you when it comes to let's sit down and brainstorm, you can't really think well. I mean, these are ways in which stress is actually affecting you, but you are not realizing it. So stress can contribute to incidents because people often sleep poorly. I mean, you are expected to have a minimum of 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night. The problem is, as you age, because of stress from your workplace that is not being properly managed, at the end of the day, you only tend to sleep for maybe 3 or 4 hours. And because you think it's okay because you've gotten used to it, and because by 5 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning, your body feels awake, you think it's okay. It's not. So you can sleep poorly, you can start giving self-medication instead of seeing a proper physician. You can tend to feel depressed, you feel anxious or jittery, you become angry and reckless, probably something that you felt is unfair, something that is supposed to be your entitlement wasn't given to you, it was given to somebody else. You know, you just feel generally angry. Okay, so when people engage in these behaviors, or they find themselves going through these emotional states, they are likely to be distracted generally, which is dangerous. It's not good at all. They feel withdrawn or isolated from others. They have outbursts. They tend to neglect responsibilities. This is quite funny, but when I was, this was like 13, 14 years back, when I was trying to get my formal registration with NSChE, and I got around with a couple of colleagues. We were all together, and we were all studying a day before. We studied and studied, and I forgot completely that my kids had closed from school by 3 a.m. By 3 p.m. By 6:30 p.m. we're still studying, and then my phone rang, and it was like, "Madam, what is happening? It's very unusual." I'm like, "What is the problem?" And he said, "Your children are here." You know, without knowing, I completely forgot, because what was at the back of my mind was, tomorrow is the D-Day. I need to go in. I need to excel, you know. So that can happen. Then you can also make errors in judgment. You can put your bodies under physical stress, increasing the potential for strains and sprains, especially now that we're expected to be going through a lot of virtual meetings where we sit for hours in one position for a long time. It is dangerous. Okay. And of course, reacting poorly in normal activities that require maybe you ensuring that you are protecting your eyes, exposing your eyes to the radiation from your laptop for long periods is not really good. Okay. And then putting your feet down in a particular position, in a sitting position for a very long time, is not also good as well. That is why you are expected to stand up from time to time, or wear shield, put shield on your computer and all that. So untreated long-term chronic stress has been reported to be associated with certain conditions like anxiety, insomnia. You can see the picture here. This lady is apparently supposed to be sleeping, but the body the body is tired. The body wants to sleep, but the brain is still very much awake. Okay, muscle pain, high blood pressure, weakened immune system, heart disease, then of course depression and obesity. So how can employers address stress in the workplace? This is very important. There are several strategies that can help to control stress and reduce the impact to a person or the employees in the workplace. So when the stress in the workplace is caused, for example, by physical agents, it is recommended typically to control it at the source. For instance, if the the office, general office, where you guys are supposed to be working and creating or drafting documents is loud because you guys are operating an open office structure and there are no measures in place to control some element of silence and decorum. It becomes a problem over time. Okay, so job design is a very important factor that employees should pay a lot of attention to. So a good job design accommodates the employee's mental and physical abilities. So in general, we're going to look at following a couple of job design guidelines that can help to minimize the workplace stress. So the employee should be able to learn on the job, and of course be allowed to continue to learn as their career progresses. You shouldn't dump too much or expect too much from employees, especially when they join the organization. Then the job should comprise of some area of decision making that the individual can call his or her own. And there are very few people, depending on their level of intelligence, that really like to be micromanaged. It's a lot of people would prefer it if you give them certain tasks and then you hold them accountable for it, rather than you micromanaging everything that they have to do. So there should be some degree of social support and recognition in the workplace. The employee should feel that this job leads to some form of desirable future. No employee wants to work in a place where they think they over time, they know that they are not growing to anything, they are going to remain where they are. Then employers should assess the workplace for risk stress, like pressures that could cause high or long-lasting levels of stress, who is going to be affected or harmed, and then determine what they can do to prevent these pressures from becoming negative stressors. So we're going to look at typical do's and don'ts by the employers. So you are expected as an employer to treat all employees in a fair and responsible manner. You should take stress seriously and be understanding to the staff under too much pressure. You should be aware of the signs and symptoms that a person may be having trouble coping with the stress. You should also involve employees in decision making and allow for their input directly or through committees. And then encourage managers to have an understanding attitude. They should also be proactive in looking for signs of stress among the staff. And then they should provide workplace health and wellness programs that target the true source of stress. Okay? And then incorporate stress prevention or positive mental health promotion in the policies or in the corporate mission statement. I mean, it's not just enough to have a very fine statement. It is also very good to implement it. It is also important to make sure that the staff has the training, the skills, and the resources they need to be successful in their positions. And then another important thing, they should design jobs to allow for a balanced workload. Okay? Even though some employers will disagree with this, not giving the employees a chance to actually balance out their task. Okay? They should value and recognize their results and skills. They should provide support. They should be clear about the job expectations. They should make sure that the job demands are responsible by providing manageable deadlines. Okay? So let's look at the don'ts that they shouldn't do. They should not tolerate any form of bullying or harassment in any form. They should not ignore signs that employees are under pressure or feeling stressed. They should not forget that the elements of the workplace itself can cause stress. So it's good that the employer tries to organize some form of stress management trainings from time to time, and also offer some form of counseling services, refer they should have a retainership clinic, and then have psychologists or counselors that from time to time they can send their employees to, especially when they start seeing some signs or symptoms of stress on their employees, because it's very important to get to the root cause of the stress and address that cause as quickly as possible. So how should you deal with workplace workplace stress as an individual. So there are many ways to be proactive in terms of dealing with stress. One is mental fitness, and it has to do with having from time to time, every day as much as possible, short or frequent meditations. It could be 10-15 minutes, breathing exercises, maybe stretches in the morning or last thing at night and all that. Then self-help is where you take note of your body signs. For instance, how frequently are you having headaches? For me, as an individual, I discovered there was a period I was on a project, and I was under a lot of pressure, and I noticed I was having a lot of frequent headaches. I then noticed that when I spoke with a doctor who told me to try out the water therapy. So I was taking loads and loads of water with a slice of lemon in it. And I noticed that by the time I finish 275 cl containers of water, the headache on its own begins to go away, So, but then when I noticed that the headaches were becoming too frequent, I went back to see the doctor. But funny enough, these days, I barely even take pain relief, because when I start getting those frequent headaches, the first thing I do is to flush my system, take loads and loads of water, rest and all that, and see if it will go away. So it's really all about you monitoring how you feel, how your body is responding to certain things. Then you should take healthy steps, which can come from exercises, daily exercises, even if it is short, right? Eating healthy, dosing your body with a lot of fruits and vegetables, eating healthy snacks. And then, of course, participating in your stress management training, either if your office is providing it or online. It can go a long way in helping you take note of the stress symptoms immediately they start showing. And then, of course, counseling services come in handy, because they tend to build your self-confidence, right? Especially when you're already feeling depressed, okay? So the ways listed above can help individuals, but most importantly, don't forget to look out for the root causes of the stress and take steps to address them. So in some cases, of course, from what we've seen, the origin of the stress is not something that you can immediately change or control. So finding ways in which you can maintain personal or good mental health is very essential. So in conclusion, stress, if not properly managed, can lead to severe health problems. So in this period of the COVID-19 pandemic, we as engineers must play a very strong role in ensuring that once the early stages of stress symptoms are noticed, intentional steps must be taken to reduce or eliminate completely the underlying issues related to the symptoms. So here's wishing everyone here all the best in staying safe. Thank you very much. So at this point in time, I would like to take questions, if there are any.
Well, Engineer Rosemary, thank you very much. I don't know whether the host is there, but I think with the presence of the Deputy National President in the House, I would request that he takes over the chairmanship of this session. The chair is not by age. It is the positions currently held. Mamo, did you hear what I said?
I saw he posted a message on the chat that you continue. So you have been endorsed, you have been given a presidential endorsement now. So continue.
Okay, fine. If I'm continuing,
you want to give him a chance to say one or two words before we continue to do an I saw we also
after
have Professor Adefila, immediate past president.
Yeah, I've realized all the big wigs in the house. The attendance is good, I must say, and the presenter is wonderful. What they say, what a man can do, a woman can do better, have been justified today. I think we should all put hands together for Rosemary for a job well done.
Thank you, sir.
I was only wondering when he said,
before you continue, sir.
Yeah.
In view of my unstable internet, we have many members of the team that put this together in the house. I want to ease myself and allow Dadet to continue with the moderation.
Okay, that's all right. Dadet, you are now the official host.
Yes, I'm listening. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. We're listening.
Yeah, we are not taking over because my internet connection is very highly unstable, and you know my situation and where I am. So
yeah, noted, please. Noted.
As we discuss.
Noted, Dr. Oda. Dr. Oda, go ahead, sir.
Okay, for the 30 minutes, the Rosemary spoke. There was no dull moment. I listened to every bit of information that she gave. Very useful discussion. And congratulations go to the chairman of this session, of this sectorial group. All the speakers he has presented have done wonderful job of their topic. I was curious when I heard that stress can be good. I was just wondering whether poverty can also be good, because if you're poor, kidnappers will not come near you. So that I was just curious, because it's very psychological for me to think that stress can be good. I don't know where she went on as an engineer to say that it increases the level of energy. So I think in order not to take more time, the floor is now open for questions and the comments. But I think the first comment has to come from Deputy National President, Engineer Seidu. Is Engineer Seidu staying with us?
No, I think from the chat, I think he said he's attending 2 meetings. So he may be in another meeting now. So now I can see 2 hands being raised. So maybe we can go by that and see, ask them, yeah.
Sorry, I don't know whether Professor Defila is with us and would like to make any comments.
Okay, Professor Defila, go ahead, please. Professor Defila, please.
As usual.
No, he has not muted.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm unmuted.
Okay, go ahead.
Engineer Wada, you wanted to run away, but we caught you. DMP, thank you very much. As usual, honestly, this is it's not just a society, but a family. And thank you, Madam Engineer Rosemary. Thank God that you passed the engineering exam that time, in spite of all the odds. What happened to you? It happened to me too. And it was my wife that asked me, where are my children? He said, which children? By 5 p.m. So thank you for your dedication to work, your dedication to NSChE, and everything. Thank you very much. You've done us proud. I'm sure Mahmoud will be very, very happy with you. I'm sure Mahmoud will give you we'll give you a call later. If you have not been, have you been in his prison for the last 3 hours? Engineer Rosemary?
No, sir.
Past is since
No.
yesterday, because I know Mahmoud. He will ensure
yes.
that he will ensure that you.
It's for 1 week, for the past 1 week.
We'll ensure that
for the past 1 week.
Very good. What have you learned from him? What have you learned from him?
One thing.
In order not to get stressed, ultimately, start avoiding stress from the beginning.
From the beginning, exactly. Be thorough. Make sure you cross all the I's and T's. It saves you a lot of unnecessary pressure at the end of the day.
Honestly, thank you very much. I want to promise you that I will make use of the things which you have said as much as possible. Okay? Because I want to live long. Did you hear me? I want to live long.
Yes, I want to live, very important.
I want to live as long as 100. Nobody is
talking. Amen. It's possible by God's grace, Prof.
Okay, thank you. I trust Tukur. You are the people that will make that, will ensure that. So on a very serious note, Engineer Rosemary, thank you very much. You have proved yourself worthy as a woman, as a mother, as an engineer, as chairman of Edo chapter. Thank you very much.
Delta.
Edo Delta chapter. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. And I'm sure many of us here will make use of all that you have said. So I'm sure you don't want to stress us here so that we can go and rest a little bit, particularly Mahmoud and yourself. So, Professor Aluyo, thank you very much. Thank you for all those good works you are doing with African University. Thank you very much. You are making us proud. Thank you, Engineer Wada. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, DNP. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
I just want to also say thank you to one person too, Professor Aluyo, for stressing me and contributing to what I am today. Thank you so much for stressing me.
Thank you very much for the compliment. I appreciate it. Please, you are invited on Monday to join us as the African Association of African Universities showcases my university.
Okay, thank you, Prof. I'm sure we shall endeavor to be there. Okay, thank you again, Professor Adefila, for that words of exhortation. I have a few hands raised here, so I would like to call on Professor Ujile for his comments or questions. Professor Ujile, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to express my appreciation to all. Thank you all for this session. I've learned a lot. And the presenter, Madam Rosemary, thank you very much for this eye-opener that has to do with our health. Yeah, my question, just one question. The environmental issues we face, especially in terms of insecurity, with respect to militancy. Some people cannot go to their communities now because of militancy. Young ones under 20 carrying gun, terrorizing communities. The impact of this to our health, what do you think will be the way out to manage stress from environmental issues like militancy, to be specific, young people carrying on, terrorizing communities? Thank you.
Okay, do I respond or do I take all the questions first?
I think I would prefer
Sorry.
that you. Sorry, who wants to say
Yeah.
something? Who wants to?
I
comment,
just
please?
wanted to intervene. That question from Prof. It's a very big question for the presenter. It is a national issue, and I think I will make a contribution towards that particular question in the sense that insecurity is caused by uneven distribution of resources. We have all been witnessing what is going on at various levels of our society. You hear of millions being distributed in very few hands, and there is general poverty. And of course, in the local parliament, they say man must work. So I think the insecurity is not unconnected with the uneven distribution of resources of the country. And this is going to get worse unless we cry out. And it's a general problem. I just want to make comment on this. I know many people who cannot go to their localities. It is, it's very worrying.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So can I respond?
Okay.
Or
So no, Engineer Rosemary. So I think on this note, I think you can. We've changed the format, so you can respond. Then we take other questions here.
Okay. So just like my prof has mentioned, it's a general. This issues related to insecurity is a national thing, and it is not something that we can immediately change. But however, we can minimize the impact of that situation on us as individuals. So, for instance, things like showing off whatever achievements that you've had in terms of flaunting it around your family members or the immediate environment where you are is one way of attracting unnecessary exposure to yourself. So at this point in time, it's best to be completely modest. I'm not saying you shouldn't live life the way you want, but nobody should really know about it. I know social media has gone really crazy. Every little thing that you accomplish right now, before you know it, if you are not the one posting it, maybe your children are posting it or your relatives are posting it on your behalf. I've had situations where in a lot of my trips outside the country, I barely post pictures, barely. But the truth about it is, you are out there with people, and the people you are out there with who run into you and take pictures with you, they go and post it and tag you. And once they tag you, it comes on your page, your friends see it, friends of your friends see it, and then there's like, oh, she's traveled, that kind of thing. So it's going to be very difficult to manage it, but on your own, you can take active steps to do it. But the truth about it is, thinking or dwelling on it will not help you at all. It will only bring unnecessary stress and sleepless nights to you, which will eventually start affecting your health over time. So try and live more in a modest way. Be friendly to your immediate environment. I've had situations where my next door neighbor, from time to time, anytime he's coming home from work and all that, you have all these youths looking around generally at the beginning of the street before it turns into the estate and all that. He stops from time to time, not to sit down with them. Oh, how are you guys doing? He gives them some little money. Oh, buy beer. Or he talks to the lady who sells at the gate. Oh, give them drinks or something like that. The truth about it is, when this particular person had a serious rival at work, somebody else who wanted his position and for some reason he didn't get it and started plotting with assassins against him. It was these same guys who he had been a bit friendly with that saved him on that unfortunate night. So my advice is just be good. There's no point dwelling on the fact that you can't go to your immediate environment, your village or your community for now because of these people. There's no point beating yourself about it, but on your own, just try and avoid anything that will cause exposure of yourself, what you are doing, what your family is doing. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for that response. And I can see that the Deputy President is raising his hand. So, Deputy President, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, David. Our elder engineer Wada, thank you very much, my IPP. And I think I have seen my Ogatu and the Akubu and the attendant. I thank you very much, Engineer Mahmoud. I joined it late because I had to coordinate another meeting. But then thank God I didn't miss much because my ears were on Engineer Rosemary. And I think I learned a lot. And what we normally do in this part of the world is, in fact, tend to ignore this simple word called stress. A lot of things need to be done to make sure that you are not stressed. And we also tend to not to bother about the health implications of stress. She has told us a lot of things that we need to do, but most importantly today, most of us in this forum, we are employers. And for me, really, what an employer needs to do to reduce stress in his workplace is a takeaway for me. Thank you very much, my distinguished guest, and thank you very much for the speaker. We never expected anything lower. As they talk in our own area, or they take last. Definitely, the chapter chairman of Edo Delta has demonstrated that indeed, not only do they avoid last. Thank you very much. So my name is not a question, but just that remarks. Thank you very much, Engineer Dede.
Okay, thank you, DP. Thank you very much. The next hand up here is from Engineer Perpetua Nwadike. Perpetua, are you there, please?
Okay. Thank you very much, Emma, for the presentation, and thank you, NSChE, for the opportunity. And good evening to everyone in the house. Okay, my name is Perpetua Nwadike. I'm a graduate of chemical engineering. So I want to ask a question concerning the workplace condition. And personally, I had to leave my job after a few months because of the workplace condition. We're dealing with lots of hazardous chemicals and heavy metals. And the company, the safety measures were not adequate for the job. And at some point, I felt ill, and so not just the health hazard, the psychological hazards and everything. But then I have lots of colleagues that are there because the situation in the country is difficult. Everybody wants to definitely work. So my question is there a body or an association that takes care of, as in like inspect companies to make sure that these things are put in place? So is there an agency or a body? Because I really want to help my other colleagues that are still there. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so in terms of a body or an agency, I don't know the location you are speaking of. I would only tell you what happens in Edo Delta, for example, in the companies that used to be here in Warri. What we're doing at a certain point in time, we're working with they call them the EROM of NSC Warri branch, the Environmental Response Management team. What we were doing from time to time was partnering with them, especially when they were making visitations to process engineering companies, to see for ourselves if such organizations were adhering to putting the health and safety considerations of their employees. Sadly or unfortunately, a lot of some of the organizations in this axis weren't really doing that. But the mere fact that they knew that we were always coming in terms of scheduled or even unscheduled visits every now and then, kind of kept them on their toes, right? Unfortunately, this is Nigeria. We have a lot of bodies that are actually assigned or tasked with the responsibility of ensuring that employees are safe and all that. But in terms of implementation, that is another ball game entirely. So in as much as it's not something we can help, but the bodies, just like the Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers, Edo Delta chapter, or other chapters across Nigeria, what they can do is what we were doing, partnering with the EROM of the NSChE branch in their location to actually manage the way the employers are taking care of their employees and managing the issues related to hazardous chemicals in the air, for instance. So that is what we as a body we're doing. I don't know about other regions, but that is what they are supposed to be doing, right? And not just sitting down and waiting for one government agency to do the work, because we know they won't do it. Okay, so that's basically it. But the decision you took in terms of realizing the fact that your health was more important than the take home at the end of the month, that was a great decision you made. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Okay, thank you very much. The next hand up here is from NG. I don't know who NG is.
Hello, good evening. It's Ngozi. I'm
Okay,
calling
Ngozi.
from the UK.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
calling from the UK. It's just
Right.
with what Perpetua asked. One of the things that would be good to see in Nigeria, I don't know if it's something we will be able to influence, or something we'll be able to influence. What she just said, like having a workplace that is not safe for people to work, but also being in Nigeria, because these things are not, they are laws, but it's not implemented. Is this something we as a society be able to lobby in the industry? Because what I can see is like, this happen in many places, and like, you know, in Nigeria, people need the money, people still have to work. So many a times people just have to carry on working because they need the money. But I don't know if it's something as an organization we could have an impact, just like with the drug people, just making sure like organizations do what they say. I know in the UK they have this workplace health and safety at work act. So, and HSE, which is the health and safety executive in the UK, they just turn up unannounced in any workplace. And also there could be a whistleblower. So I could be working in a place, if they're not complying, I could just ring the HSE and say I'm anonymous, and HSE will just turn up. And because here, things works. It would be good to see like things work in Nigeria, so that people, in the name of earning a living, putting themselves at risk, things like heavy metal, lead, those things with time will kill. But I'm just wondering if it's something as a society, even if it's from Edo Delta or from a place, just have an impact, making sure like people do what they say they should, what they're expected to do, and lives are not placed at risk. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that comment. Like, thank God you've rightly acknowledged the fact that Nigeria is one place where implementation can be a total disaster. I believe, unfortunately, the Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers as a body, we are not a law enforcement agency. What we can do from time to time when we schedule technical visits or courtesy visits is to interact with these organizations and look for areas of collaboration where we can actually provide some form of support, you know, and one of these is process safety, you know. So that is the extent to which we can go. And again, for Nigerians, we're a very difficult set of human beings. If this will not take too much of your time, let me quickly share an experience I had when I was consulting for Shell Petroleum Development Company. I was part of the Lean Six Sigma team. That what we're tasked to do was to go into each of the facilities, recommend an overhaul in terms of the areas in which the facilities were experiencing or undergoing some form of waste, and then introducing what we call preventive maintenance rather than reactive maintenance. Now, I must tell you that one of the strategic actions that we were expected to implement was to show up at organizations unannounced prior to what the operators at the facilities were used to, where they will get advance notice that a team of inspectors are coming, and then they will just put things in place and arrange everything so everything looks like is working perfectly well, you know. But with this Lean Sigma project, it wasn't scheduled like that. You just show up there. We just show up. The plan was for us to show up there at the facility and just give assessment of how that particular plant was working, and then check their records to see if they were making the necessary recommendations and stuff like that. But do you know that when I started on that project, I started getting a lot of death threats. I was getting a lot of death threats from even some of the operators who had grown, even some of the managers of those facilities. I was getting death threats from them. It was like I was the one sent by management to come and blow the whistle on what they were trying to cover, you know. So we Nigerians were a very peculiar set of people, even though we say we want things to be properly done.
Hello. Please, kindly mute yourself, please. Kindly mute if you are not speaking, please. Somebody is disturbing in the background. Kindly mute, please.
That you can mute everybody now.
Yes.
You can mute everybody.
Yes, they can. So what I was saying,
I'm doing that already. Continue.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was saying was, it's easy to say, we should come up with laws, and people should be made to adhere to certain things. People should not employers, for example, should not put employees under some form of undue pressure and stuff like that. It's easy. You have everything in blueprint, but in terms of implementation, even the people you are trying to help can become a thorn in your flesh. That's the extent to how we as Nigerians perceive what we are expected to do right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, I would suggest that we end by 7. So if there are any more comments, we have 10 more minutes. And we started a bit late. So finishing by 7 will give us the allocated time for this session. So host, if there are more hands, you can allow people to speak, but let us finish by 7.
Somebody is raising his hand.
Yeah, I just want to give an information regarding this, the question raised and all the explanations. EROM, I want to inform the House, EROM is an arm of, is a Korean, that is a regulatory body. And Korean recently has been given the mandate to regulate engineering profession. So if there's anything that is not done properly, we should report to Koreans. I know members who are close to the Register of Korean is our member. Now, presently, the EROM for NSChE in various branches, they have been empowered to regulate. So anything that is done in a manner that is not conventional should be reported. And that person will be taken up seriously. That is the information I want to pass. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. In fact, that was why our chapter at that point in time, we we formed some form of alliance with them. So anytime they planned any visits to any of the process companies, we tried to go with them, you know, that kind of thing. So are there any other questions?
Engineer Mahmoud, are you back?
I'm back, but Daddy is still in charge.
Daddy, Andy Yakubu is raising up his hands. He has been raising up his hands.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't see that. So please, Engineer Andrew Yakubu, sorry, please go ahead, Engineer Yakubu.
Yes, let me thank you all for this wonderful topic. As simple as it is a very, very relevant topic to not only engineering profession, but every profession. Now let me thank Mahmoud and his team for the choice of my chapter member or chapter chairman, Engineer Rosemary. And like the Deputy National President said, who has been my co-worry man, that worry not the carry last. Although I came late, but at least what I've heard so far, I'm highly impressed with Engineer Rosemary for a wonderful delivery. There's no doubt that stress management is a very, very important aspect of engineering profession, and particularly workplace management, because we are under continuous stress by shareholders, by management, and the worst enemy you have is the person who would want to insist that you do not cut corners. And that is why, Rosemary, I'm not surprised that you are under stress too, not to check how things are done properly. And you, in trying to get things right, you become a stressor in the workplace. And that is why the quality management aspect of every production system is vested on the direct supervision of the chief executive. But we must also understand that everybody is under stress to produce and to make money and to increase the bottom line. So you must strike a balance. Thank God, the fathers of the profession, I can see the professors in the house today. We have an indirect stress building mechanism when you are going through this profession. You do not go through it easily. They give you so much stress that you spend sleepless nights. So before you graduate, you develop a stress stabilizer in you. And when we go out there, we are also in a stressful environment, and so on and so forth. So this topic is certainly a very important topic, particularly those of us, or those of you who are in the oil and gas. You know that the economy relies on that sector. So you are continuously under stress by shareholders, by government, by so many stakeholders. So your ability to manage this stress and to remain productive and also to remain compliant with safety practice and also doing things right and producing quality products, it is no doubt a very, very stressful task. And you need those that are properly stabilized in terms of stress, in terms of understanding what they're doing, to be properly engaged and to be productive. So I want to thank you, because this is a very important topic and it's something that we need to ponder about and continue to add value to our profession and to our environment. Thank you, Rosemary, and thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that inspiring remarks. We are grateful. Thank you very much. Time is far well spent. So it appears we will be bringing this now to a close. I would like to encourage us to continue to be part of this forum. Yeah, we've, as agreed, it's now on a monthly basis, and also to remind us of the program of about joining Professor Aliyo's institution next week. Please let's ensure that we are part of that program. Professor Aliyo, you are still online, yeah?
I'm here.
Yeah, okay, yeah. When is the date again, please, just to remind us?
It's on Monday. It's on Monday by 12:30.
Okay, so please, Monday by 12:30, let's do him the honor of joining. Okay, I'd like to call on Engineer Tukur Lawal. Are you there, Engineer Tukur Lawal? Engineer Tukur Lawal. Okay, Engineer Rahim Alabi, are you there?
Hello.
Hello.
Am I unmuted now?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello. This is Rahim Alabi.
Okay, Engineer Rahim Alabi, please give us a closing prayer.
Okay, we give glory to Almighty God for making this possible. We thank Almighty Allah for giving us this opportunity to participate in this meeting. Pardon me, I'm a Muslim. I would like to say some Arabic word. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amen. Amen. May God continue to protect us. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Enjoy your weekend.
And you
Thank
too.
you.
And you too, please. Yeah.
Thank you, Daddy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Salah to everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
To you too. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
Thank
Enjoy your
you.
weekend. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And God bless you all.
God bless you.
Thank
Amen.
you.
Pancras Francisca, thank you.
Well done.
God bless you. Bye.
Engineer Mahmoud, our Ram.
Engineer Mahmoud.
Yes,
God bless
our
you.
Ramo.
Dr. Rosemary, bye.
Bye. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
There's a lot of stress around the RAM this year.
No, I don't think so.
No, Engineer Mrs. Rosemary have given out the solution. See ya.
Mahmoud.
Yes, sir.
An apple a day since I will visit to the doctor. Huh?
I'm trying to stabilize stress.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your support, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. No.
Yeah.